the door bottoms, both inside, well, you can see right through there, and outside. Anyway, so let's get started. Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and today I'm going to be working on the final piece of the puzzle of Uncle Dirtbag's '61 Chevy pickup, the driver's door right here. And let me back this out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. The bottom's rotted out, both inside, down in here, and out. And real quickly, if you're doing a restoration or a resto mod or fixing up an old vehicle, when it comes to the doors, the best thing you can do is go out and find a rust-free, undented, original door. Those are getting a little bit hard to find, I understand that, but that's your best bet for fit and finish. Beyond that, the reproduction doors on a lot of vehicles are pretty good. In this case, however, since he's going to be leaving the rest of the car, rest of the truck, rusty and crusty, it sort of doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money on it. And so on a lot of vehicles, what they make are repair panels. And on the first generation C10s, they make a replacement inner panel that's actually a very nice piece. We'll get into that when we get to the inside. It comes up to the first rib in the door, and unfortunately on this door I've got a rib that's the second rib up that has some rust in that area. I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. And then on the outside they make the door skin, and the inner panel is side specific. There's a left side and a right side. The door skin that goes on the outside is universal, fits left or right, and it's a pretty good piece. It would be nice if the brakes were a little bit sharper, but it is what it is. And I've done the passenger door already. It came out really good. Hopefully this side will come out even better. But what I've done to start with here, this is only about 11.5 inches tall. And so I've come in and I've put witness marks that you probably can't see at 12 inches. And what that'll do is when I go to fit the door and set it up for welding, I can take a tape and come up to those witness marks. I got 5 of them across here, and make sure that the bottom of the door is in the correct location. I'll use that when I'm scribing the line that I need to cut, and I'll use it when I'm making the final welds to make sure I'm in the right place. Beyond that, I've got some marks where I would target it to be at, which is about 8.5. These are 12 inches because this is about 11.5. At about 8.5 inches, somewhere in that area is where I'm going to target to be. The reason I'm going to be targeting that is because the inner panel extends up so far, and it's far easier to overlap the original inside panel than it is to try and get the door peeled back, run the replacement inside part into the original door skin and bring it down. So if you can bring the outer panel up beyond where the inner panel is, then you don't have these issues with the fold over on the door and the lip. We'll get to that too. Basically, the next thing that I did was I came up and drew a line where I'm probably going to make the first cut. And one thing I wanted to make sure about this is that basically I was going to catch all the rust on the outer panel from here down, and that line is at 7 inches, and I am really certain, unless I get in here and find thin material in here, that this is going to be a good spot where from here on up the door is solid. From here on down, it's in pretty bad shape. So, with that said, I'm going to pause this, get some tools set up, and I'm going to start cutting it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is along the edge from my 7-inch mark down, across the bottom, and across the front, I'm going to grind through the door panel. Now, what you've got at the edge of the door is the outer panel comes over and folds back over the lip that's on the inner panel, and then it's welded back in there. And if you grind through to where you just break through, where you can see 3 distinct layers of metal, then this panel will be able to lift off once you cut along this long line here. Okay, now you may be wondering, you need to do that. Well, probably not, but the truth of the matter is what I like to do is I like to use the remains of the inner panel to help me locate the outer replacement panel, and then go back in and use the outer replacement panel that I've just installed to help locate the inner panel, so that the door maintains as much of the shape as it possibly can. I also have something else that I'll show you here in a bit that helps with that. So now to go ahead and make the long cut, and I'm not going to use the cutoff wheel completely on this, just because I don't want to put a whole lot of heat in this area right here. I do have to come in a little bit to get past the edge of this. Oh, and by the way, one thing that I have done is I've rolled the window into the up position so that I'm not getting sparks or causing any damage to anything down in here behind it. And I've covered it up with a welding blanket to help prevent any sparks from doing any damage to the window. Just one of those things that it's always a bummer to get done and realize that you've ruined a couple $100 piece of glass. Okay, and now I'm hoping that this will work. It'd be nice to use a body saw, but the truth of the matter is my body saw is not the best, so we're going to see how this will work. Okay, so I also know from experience that when I get over here close, I've got an inner brace, or I hope I've still got an inner brace. Yeah, I see where it's at. And where I'm cutting, I should be able to come all the way over to my cut from the cutoff. Okay, so there's no real pitting on the inside of the door. I mean, there is light pitting, but there's nothing that feels really crusty underneath it here. The one thing I'm going to do is open up an area down in the inner panel here so I can reach in with the dolly so that I can planish this weld. So I'm going to go ahead. I would normally just cut this out completely, but this is in such bad shape. I think I'm going to I don't know. This is pretty bad. Let's see what I can do here. I was going to say this is better than nothing, but I'm not sure that that's exactly true. It just needs to go away. Hopefully I can rely on these corners to keep me. Okay, so one thing that you want to be careful of when you're doing this is right in here, this cutout. This is for the door drain. And the replacement pieces do not have this. It doesn't have the cutout in the fold over lip on the outer skin, and it also does not have the bump outs on the inner skin. You have to put those in. If you don't do that and you're out in the rain, these window seals are not that great. The door fills up with water, and the first thing you have is an annoying sloshing sound every time you accelerate, hit the brakes, or go around the corner. And then that's followed up by annoying rust through because you've got water sitting in here eating away at your metal. So let's keep going at this. Okay, so now the next thing that you've got to do, when they stamp this, they don't do anything with the corners. And you can't fold this over with the corners the way they are. And so what you have to do is you have to put 45-degree cuts in both corners so that they will fold over. Okay, so now I think my next move is going to be to reduce the height because I do not need all this material. And this is where having a crisp break on this bottom edge would really come into being handy, because you kind of have to guess at about where the break line is going to be. Let me see if I can crisp this up a little bit. So I'm gonna try and TIG all of this, but I think to get that first nugget in, I'm gonna go ahead and put a TIG on there because it'll be easier to handle. Well, I went to turn the camera off to go to lunch and realized I hadn't turned it back on. So I've got it mostly tacked. It's fighting me every step of the way. I mean, I put in some great tacks, used the same method, move a couple of places over, and it blows a hole in. So I apparently either have some issues myself or with the machine or with the material. But at any rate, it's tacked in. I've run a couple of beads. This one right here was going very good until it wasn't. Same thing right here. I think what I need to do on these is just make my my runs a little bit shorter, stop and hammer on dollium to take the shrink out of it. And I think right now what I'm going to do is break for lunch, and when I come back I promise I'll remember to turn the camera on and finish this up. Okay, so here we go. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is, but I use the same technique, and sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to be trying to actually put the welds in now. So. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and clean up the mess on the underneath side and then come back on top and planish it again. And all, it's Now back in here, I can't get in there and hammer on dolly it. The rest of it does not feel too bad. A few bumps like right there. I think I can get the back side of it clean. Anyway, I'll be right back. Just got done with about 2 hours of cutting and grinding to get this to fit the door. Saved you all of that sped up video and music. I'll go over some of the high points when I'm over there welding. But what I need to do now is I need to put these drains in here. And so the thing you don't want to do is push it back up here so you end up with a lip that will prevent water from draining out. You want to work towards the way the water wants to go. What I've done is I've gone ahead and marked the spots where the notches are in the flange that I put in, the 2 notches I put in the flange of the door skin. And so basically what you want is you want an 1/8 of an inch dip right in here. And then also I'll come back in when I'm done and trim this back so that there's good room for hopefully any leaves to get out, although that's one of the things that probably is going to happen more than anything else is that leaves will get in here, plug this up, you hear a sloshing sound in your door, you need to take the door panel off and clean the leaves out and get these cleared out. Hey, they're not pretty, but no one will see them, and it'll get the water out of the door. That's what's important. It is time to weld. I'm going to start by locking this corner in down here because this is the one that's tending to pop up. And so I need it to be locked in place. new day. Yesterday the camera kept shutting off. I don't know whether it was because we were getting interference from the compressor. One time when I looked up, just as the compressor shut off, the camera shut off. So I don't know whether we're getting a bad signal from the compressor. It could also have been that the hard drive is getting a little bit full. Last night I took a lot of stuff off of the hard drive, and so we'll see how today goes. But I haven't looked back to see exactly what happened on the videos yesterday, what got covered and what didn't. But basically, I've got the bottom of the door welded in, long seam through here, down the sides, fitting it into the convoluted structure at the sides. Had to do a little bit more rust repair over here. Got the rosettes put in where the internal brace is on the inside of the door. There's rosettes here. There's rosettes down the bottom of the door here, and then there's rosettes along the front where this panel is tied into that brace that runs up the hinge side of the door. I also had to replace a. This is the top. I'm sorry. This is the middle bead on the door. There's 3 beads on the door. 1, 2, 3, and then there's a 4th one on the interior door panel. The replacement panel only has the 1st bead in it. There was rust in the 2nd bead, and what I did was I salvaged a piece out of the bead from the back side of the other door and fit it in here and weld it in place. So what I need to do now is get to grinding and painting, because, say it with me, grinder and paint make me the welder I ain't. And let's get started. Okay, so there it just quit on me again. I think it has to do with the compressor. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so all I'm going to do is put a quick coat of self-etching on here to keep this from rusting. But I thought before I do that, I'd take you on a quick tour just in case I did lose all the information yesterday. That is the spear end that I put in, the weld's right there. I also, you know, this is an interior panel that's down at your feet, and based on the truck that I'm working on, I went rather quickly through this. What was interesting about this is usually when these panels shrink, they suck in, making it hard to grind the weld. This one in particular, along this long seam here, it popped up. So it's actually higher in the middle than it is on either side. Here at the end, it actually did sink in. Then of course, I did have to hammer and dolly the flanges down over. That's that 45-degree cut. I did have to come in and trim this one a little bit because I hadn't gone quite far enough. But you can see how that makes a very nice joint. I'll probably take and touch the corner there so it's not a shaving item. But got the rosettes along the bottom. There is that drain that'll allow water to out of the door. I've got the one there, and I've got the one up at the front. Here again, they'd probably be a lot prettier if the manufacturer of these panels had done it in the first place, but it is what it is. Coming around, and so there are the rosettes that are on the front of the panel to the interior brace. There are the rosettes that are on the outer panel, or the inner panel to the brace, and then in through there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and tape this off a little bit so I get some crisp lines, or semi-crisp lines, and then shoot it with some primer. Okay, so with that, the welding and painting on this side is done. While this is setting up, I forgot to put the door stop back in the door when it fell out. It's easiest to do when this is off. What I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to take this panel off here and put it in. You'd think by now I'd know to put a 1032 or 1024 bolt through there with a nut to keep it from sliding all the way out, but I didn't. So here we are. I'll go ahead and pull this panel off. I'm not going to record that, and then I'll have it flipped over so we can look at the front side. But basically, this is ready to go on the inside. I'm going to be able to put the door on today, I think. Okay, well, the door is done. I've got it installed. I don't know whether my camcorder is going bad or whether it's interference from the compressor and or the grinders, but I've got a corrupted file and it shut off on me a lot of times as I was completing this. But basically, let me see if I can zoom out a little bit on this. Okay, basically, that's the pattern to make sure that it's in line. The reason I show you that is I think it's the door hinges themselves. I've got this bottom one slid out as far as it'll go. It's not the slots. It's actually the boss where the pins go through, or the pin goes through, that is resting up against the door, and it will not allow it to go in any further. But the rest of this is all in alignment. I mean, it's close enough. It could be stack up tolerances, and the truth of the matter is it doesn't look horrible, but I wish the bottom of the door was in a little bit further. But there you can see the hammered on dolly TIG weld on the outside. It needs probably a little bit of filler, but for the most part, we've got a pretty good fit on this, and I basically used this as the guide for how this was going to work. So let's open the door here. Show you see if I'm out in the sun. I've got the wires running through the floor where they're supposed to run through, and down through the channel up into his wiring harness. And the rocker panel is all installed, the cab corner, of course the floor sections. That's what really started this, was the floor was rotten and he needed to get that repaired. So this is of course you can't see in this video, but the supports front and rear for the floor pan are in there. And then coming around to the other, that's the inside of the door right there where we welded on the bottom. And this right up here is the spear that I took off of that side over there. Probably needs just a little bit of filler right there if he wants it to be nice. But the truth of the matter is, it's sort of like a barn find truck that somebody has done some repair work on, and I think he's going to try and match this factory color and kind of mist over this to try and blend it in. So there we've got that. Of course, he'll probably want to put door seals in it, but the door shuts got as good as can be expected for a 64-year-old truck that has not been done as a show truck, simply put together as a driver. I did knock out a dent that he had right here. This is the other door, which I covered in another, no, I didn't cover this in another video, but basically did the same thing to it. It was not rusted as bad as the driver's door, so basically I only come up to about right here, but got the floor in it. It's filthy. It's got dust all over it from grinding. But rocker panel, cab corner. The primary difference between this side and that side is the B pillar on the driver's side was rotten, and I did have to replace that. That's covered in a video. Oh, I don't know whether you can see that. Let me zoom in on that. The kick panel has been installed on both sides. Some toe board repair. And there we have it. Well, folks, that just about wraps it up on Uncle Dirtbag's 61/08 Chevrolet C10. I'm going to see if we can't get him down here to do a final inspection on it and send it home. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. Sorry about the missing segments. Going to have to sort out this camcorder situation. I may have to be looking for a new way to videotape. Please, if you got any comments, got some suggestions, just don't like it, tell me what you'd like to see on the channel. Subscribe by all means. Hit that notification bell, because like I've been telling you, as it gets winter, I'll probably be a little bit more sporadic on getting posts out there. So hit the notification bell so you know when a new video pops up. Like the videos, tell your friends about them if you find them interesting. Let them know that things are going interesting here at Chopper Bob Customs. And with that, thanks for watching, and Chopper Bob out.